Ah, and what, mon ami, may I ask, have we here?
Howdy folks, and a very big warm welcome to the very first diecast distress call channel restoration video, and merci beaucoup Inspector for your assistance and diligence in finding for us this vintage model for us to restore. Well, today, I will be restoring the Matchbox series, Moko Lesney, number 12A, Land Rover Series 1. Which was issued by Matchbox back in 1959, and is based upon the British Leyland Land Rover Series 1, which was in production from 1955 to 1959. Here are a few photos at various angles of the Matchbox 12A model that we are going to restore today. These models are obviously in a perfect condition and with their original boxes. Additionally, you can see 3 models in various color shades and the larger number 12B model or Land Rover Mark II, which was produced much later. Which hopefully we can also restore one of these 12B models in the near future. What do you think, Inspector? Are you up for another assignment? You can see in the various photos original military vehicles, which the Matchbox Model 12A is based upon. Incidentally, the Land Rover was utilized by the British and Commonwealth Armed Forces during the Korean War, and in Middle Eastern deployments in different variations, as weapons platforms, hardtops, and as a general utility vehicle. The vehicle is clearly based loosely on the American Willys General Purpose Vehicle, GP, fondly known to us all as the Jeep. So with no further ado, let's take a very close look at what our intrepid inspector has dug up for us, and see if there is any damage and what steps we need to take to restore this little gem to its former glory.
It is my pleasure, mon ami, I am only doing my duty to help you find this little model. Bon chance.
Our model appears to have been hand-painted in matte olive green by a previous owner. The wheels have also been hand-painted in matte black. The headlights have been painted in with silver-painted dots. The tan-colored military driver is missing and I will have to procure a new figure to replace him. This is very common, as a lot of these models lost their drivers, as they were only inserted into a hole in the front seat by a pin. The model overall has no damage and should be a straightforward restoration. The axles are a little rusty, and will require a cleanup, but hopefully can be salvaged. The wheels are in excellent condition. On the base of the model we can clearly see the inscription Lesney, England, and the original color of the model. Being the first Matchbox version of the Series 1 Land Rover, it is very basic with not a lot of details, however for such a small vehicle it really is a little gem. I have placed a 2-cent coin next to it to give you an idea how tiny this model actually is. So, let's take her for a little spin on the old magic roundabout before we get underway with our restoration. My first action was to remove the wheels and axles. This early Matchbox model has crimped axles, where the axles have been forcibly factory machine crushed into a splayed fan or a V-shaped form to stop the wheels from falling off and still be able for the wheels to rotate. Many of these earlier Matchbox models had these crimped axles. Initially I was trying to crush the fan-ended axles rather than trying to grind the fan shape down, as I didn't want to damage the wheel hubs by using my electrical grinding tool, and I wanted to retain the original axles. However, this proved trickier than I thought, as, when I attempted to crush and flatten the sides with a heavy pair of adjustable pliers, unfortunately the pressure just rotated the axle, and I had no other choice but to use an electrical rotating tool to grind off the sides of the axles to finally get the wheels off. Definitely a struggle, as this model was so tiny compared to other Matchbox models.
go! Now that's what I'm talking about! That's how we roll! Well done, die-cast distress!
Well, finally I managed to accomplish getting the wheels and axles off without damaging the wheel hubs and the axle supports. Thanks SpongeBob. Now I have to tackle the next phase, which is to strip off all the old paint, grime, dirt, rust etc., and take the model down to its bare metal casting. So for this I am going to use caustic soda pearls with added boiling water. Caustic soda, also known as sodium hydroxide. Mixed with boiling water, it causes a thermal chemical reaction that will quickly and easily strip all the paint of this model down to its bare metal.
Double, double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble.
Well, thanks ladies, after that little magic spell my model has been transformed, and all that paint, grime and rust has been magically removed. The wheels on this model were made of metal, so that I was able to put all the disassembled items into the old magic potion together without any danger of the wheels melting. The next step now is to clean up any residual paint and get the model into apple pie order. I am using my faithful rotary tool with various different soft wire brush attachments to get into those pesky tight corners to make sure that none of the older paints are remaining. Once the main body had been cleaned up, I then concentrated my attention to the metal wheels and axles. I placed the axles into the rotary tool and used fine emery paper to take off any imperfections. I noticed that one of the axles was slightly bent, so I used a small hammer to knock out the kink. For the wheels I stuck them on brochette sticks to hold them in place and used the rotary tool with a soft wire brush to clean them up. I additionally cleaned the model with alcohol to remove any grease and or other contaminants that may have been on the surface of the vehicle during the paint stripping phase. And here is the little fellow once all the paint has been removed and all built up. Now we are all set for the next phase of priming or undercoating the model. I used my trusty brochette sticks pushed into the wheel hubs and through the hole in the driver's seat to support the parts whilst I was spray painting them. For the primer coat or undercoat I am going to use a neutral color instead of black or white, and I have chosen Tamiya's Grey Surface Primer. This surface primer is ideal for preparing die-cast metal models. The light grey color primer is great for darker color applications, like army green, which will be what I will use for the final coats. Another asset to this spray paint is that it also does well to fill in shallow scratches, and does show you flaws you need to fix before laying down the final paint. Once the spray can has been given a good shake to get the paint moving, I place the can into a small bowl of warm water, never boiling or hot, and let it sit for 5 minutes, before another good shake, and then I can go ahead and use the spray can. As it was a nice day, I thought that I would go outside to give my model its first primer coat. Now that the model has been primed, I can now check out the tiny model for any flaws and also admire the detail of the sculpting of this 1955 little gem. The radiator and headlights are highly detailed, and on the bonnet of the model I can see the bonnet hinges. The interior is pretty Spartan, however without much detail. No dashboard or gear stick etc. The wheels are in great shape and you can see the hubs and the knobbly tread on the tires perfectly. I managed to procure a reproduction driver for my model, which incidentally appears to be the same figure in the Moko Lesney No. 2B Muir Hillside dumper. Maybe someone can confirm this in the comments. This repro figure had a bit of flash, namely a thick seam running through the middle of the figure, which I filed away and tidied it up, and gave it a thorough clean in soapy water before I paint it.
Aha! I never forget a face, monsieur.
Well spotted, Inspector. I primed the driver in the usual grey undercoat, and once dry I gave him a coat of light tan. As my driver was missing in action, I had to refer to photos on the internet. It appears that many slight differences in color hues were produced by Moko Lesney, so an artistic license is always handy to have. But I will always attempt to match the colors of the originals as much as possible. I am going to paint the wheels by hand, rather than spraying them. So I decided to use Humbrol Enamel Gloss number 40. I think that this color will do fine to match the original color paint of the wheels, and being an enamel paint will be more resistant than using acrylics. The paint in these little pots is quite thick and the pigment tends to be in a large clump at the bottom of the pot, so it requires to be well stirred before use, so I utilize a handy battery-operated paint mixer tool, which I highly recommend. I used a semi-gloss clear coat spray Anatomy product to varnish and to protect the driver figure and the painted wheels. I then went ahead and sprayed the main body of the model in a green which matched the original green paint on the model that was on the underside of the model and had not been painted over. Nothing like having green fingers when out in the garden. I have included photos of the newly sprayed model, which is currently sitting in a dust-free environment curing away until the final varnish coat. I will leave the model for a couple of days for the paint to fully dry and cure before giving the body a clear coat varnish to protect it. I wasn't really happy about the varnish, it appeared too dull for a gloss. So I resorted to using my trusty old artist's acrylic gloss and hand-painted the pieces separately.
And voilà monsieur, at times we have to get back to the basic, and utilize our artistic expressionism.
Well, you're certainly not wrong there, Claude. Cheers for the top tips, and I love those lilies. So let's take a look at what my model looked like before the distress call, and before the final reveal on the old magic roundabout. The model wasn't seriously damaged, so no major field repairs to undertake, however it had a missing driver, and a previous owner had transformed the toy model into a small-scale military miniature, painting over the original paint with drab olive green and painted the tires matte black. It was dirty, rusty, and not at all looking like a Matchbox toy. A definite distress call, which we received loud and clear and took appropriate actions.
헤이, 이전트 데트1 오브 도즈 모코, 레스니 12A 랜드 로버즈, IC 오버데어?
Now for the final reveal of the Moko Lesney Series 175th 12A Matchbox Land Rover. And incidentally, this restored little gem can be yours for free if I can manage to get 2,000 likes to this video. I will contact you and request your address, and I will send it to your residence, wherever you are in the world. Well folks, that was fun, and I do hope that you enjoyed the first ever diecast distress call video. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, to make this channel grow, and let's catch up again in the near future, and listen out for some more diecast distress calls. As always, keep safe, be kind, and share your comments or advice with me, and now I'm off for a lovely well-deserved cup of tea.
Have a cup of tea, have another one, have a cup of tea. Have a cup of tea,